Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Emir. I'm going to be your tour guide. Now, I'm a real person. I'm not AI. I'm not a screen recording. I'm all the way up in the very, very front car. So with that being said, hey front car, how y'all doing today? Good, nice. But cars 2, 3, and 4, I can see you as well. If I lean over this way, I can see all of you through the window. So, hey cars 2, 3, and 4, how are ya? So we're going to hang out together for the next hour or so, and I get to share stories about how we make movies, TV shows, and music videos. Now, first, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something of value off the side of the tram, or you have any sound or video issues, reach up and grab that red E-cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated and keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Remember to use that red cord above your head if you need any assistance. The studio is private property, and if at any time during the tour you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the cord and remain seated. Please, no smoking of any kind during the tour. Now be prepared, our tour today features loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects. You'll want to have our cameras out for some great photo opportunities, but keep an eye on them so they don't get wet. And finally, for your safety and the safety of those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while you are on board. Alrighty folks, we're going to get this tour kicked off with our special master of ceremonies. You know him as the host of tonight's show. It's Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world's famous studio tour. I know what you're thinking. Why the tux? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we'll pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Alrighty, thank you, Jimmy. Well, folks, we're going to kick off the tour with a little bit of history about the studio and this attraction itself, the studio tour. Take a look at your screens. So the picture of the gentleman you're looking at, that's Mr. Carl Lumley. Carl Lumley is the founder of Universal Studios, and back on March 15th, 1915, he opened the gates of Universal Studios to the public. He allowed folks to walk from set to set and marvel at the new technology involved in filmmaking. But in the late 1920s, we started making movies with sound, so we needed quiet on the set, right? So the original walking tour of the studio had to end. But in the 1960s, under the leadership of company chairman Lee Wasserman and executives Al Dorsey and Jay Stein, the idea of reviving a tour of the studio came about when they saw that the Gray Line bus tours, which operated out of Hollywood, they'd stop here at our studio gates. So on July 15th, 1964, the first of our very own red and white candy-striped climber trams took 67 passengers on a 2-hour drive tour of the lot, and the world famous studio tour was born. You know, we already started off with 2 guides, 2 drivers, and a ticket seller who worked out of a trailer on Lancaster Boulevard. And from there, we expanded the tour with these fun Hollywood elements like the burning house, which is what's on your screens right now, as well as the rock slide, which were in this part of the area of the 1970s and the 1980s. Now, you want to know where the burning house used to be? On the right-hand side of the tram, currently where the fire station is, right? How funny is that? Now, folks, that is a real fire station. That's not a movie set. Those aren't actors inside of there. The reason we have a real fire station here at Universal Studios is because we are officially our very own city. You know, once you entered the gates of Universal Studios, you left Los Angeles behind, you entered into Universal City. We've got our own fire station, our own sheriff's substation, our own set of medical emergency services, and we even have our very own zip code, 91608. Now, while we got all of those things that technically make us our own city, you know what we don't have back here? Residents. Yeah, people don't live at Universal City. They work here tirelessly, making some amazing entertainment. Movies, TV shows, and music videos. Now, they make a lot of those things in the front lot where the start of our tour is going to be, and they make them inside buildings that are called soundstages. What's a soundstage? Well, a perfect example is the building on the left-hand side of the tram, Soundstage 12. A soundstage is essentially a giant warehouse with really thick concrete walls that have been insulated and padded to make them about 98% soundproof. We use soundstages because it gives filmmakers an enclosed environment where they can control things like the weather, the temperature, the sound, and the lighting. Like right now, it's daytime outside, right? But inside of a soundstage, we can make it look like it is nighttime. I'll talk a little bit more about soundstages in just a little bit, but I want to point your attention to this area on the right-hand side of the tram, all right? Now, if we were taking this tour from the 1960s to the 1980s, Mike would take a right-hand turn here, and we'd be driving through this area. This is where guests used to be able to step off of the tram and onto the lot to be able to see the dressing room of comedy legend Lucille Ball, or see the office of Academy Award-winning costume designer Edith Head, and even watch the special effects show inside of the preview center. Today, on the right, that's Super Nintendo World. And what's neat about Super Nintendo World is that you could be hanging out with Mario and Luigi, and on the other side of the street, maybe 100 yards away, you could be so close to your favorite celebrity and not even know it. They could be filming something inside of these sound stages here on the left-hand side, right? Now, the sound stages that we're currently passing, sound stages 7 and 8, the most recent thing that just filmed there was season 3 of our TV show, Bel Air, right? Bel Air is a great show on our streaming service, Peacock. Okay, show of hands, who here grew up watching the 90s comedy, The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, right? Incredible show. All right, let's do part of the theme song. In West Philadelphia. Nice. Now imagine if that TV show came out in the present day, and instead of it being told in the, instead of it being done as a comedy, it was done as a drama, right? Well, that's what the TV show Bel Air is. And then we got a video with 2 of the stars. Jabari Banks, who plays Will, Alice Shalaton, who plays Carlton. They're going to tell us how they filmed the show Bel Air inside of these sound stages. Take a look.
We're leaving the theme park behind and entering the front lot where real Hollywood magic is made. How? Well, inside the sound stages that surrounds us, we can create any kind of environment the script demands.
For the past 60 years, studio tour visitors have driven right by these buildings, and inside these walls, the sets from your favorite TV shows and movies have transported audiences anywhere the imagination can take you, even to a palatial mansion in Bel Air.
When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who.
Or what?
You'll see on the studio tour.
All right, folks, I'm just going to pause it really quick. So in the background of this video, you see those big giant doors, right? Those doors are large. That way they accommodate any kind of equipment you need to go in or out of the sound stages, set pieces, lighting, sound, and video equipment. Now, those are not just called doors. They have a very special name. They're called elephant doors. Yeah, elephant doors, like the animal. So they got that name because we used to have a zoo here at Universal Studios. It was an attraction that people used to be able to visit. We had a bunch of lions, birds, monkeys, and a bunch of elephants. The reason we had a zoo here was because we used to use a lot of live animals in our productions, and we needed to make sure that the doors to our sound stages were big enough to fit an elephant through the doors, and that's how those doors got their names. Now, a lot of people wonder if the elephants are still here. They're not. When we moved off the property in the late 1920s, we started making talkies, or movies with sound, because it turns out that elephants can get really loud. They get making too much noise, getting caught in the audio, ruining movies, so that's why we had to kick them off the property. You know, I guess you could say we made those elephants pack up their trunks. Yeah, if you like to hear about dad jokes and puns, you're going to love my tour. If you don't, well, it's going to be a really long hour for you. Alrighty, folks, so coming up on the left, we're about to pass by these small, brown, what look like houses. We call these production bungalows. These are the offices for some of Hollywood's top writers, directors, and producers. Let's get one of them on our screens right now. The founder of Illumination Entertainment, Mr. Chris Maladandri. He's going to tell us who used to hang out inside of these bungalows.
In the early days of the studio, these bungalows were used as dressing rooms to the stars of Hollywood's golden age. Now, they're used as offices where some of Hollywood's top directors, writers, and producers work their magic to get a production ready, including my company, Illumination. At Illumination, we've made some of the most successful animated films in box office history, including Despicable Me, The Horax, Secret Life of Pets, Minions, Sing, The Grinch, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. And the team is hard at work again as we launch our next film, Despicable Me 4.
You love your dada. What's it? Yes, of course he loves you. He just doesn't shout in his face or with his body language.
We've had some really good sequences in Despicable Me movies. The heist of the Honey Badger is now officially my favorite. What it comes down to is the emotional through line, and I believe that that's why these movies have stayed in people's hearts.
Alright, folks, make sure to check out Despicable Me 4 in theaters now. Alright, friends, we got a couple more things to talk about before we leave the first section of the tour, the front lot. 2 more sound stages. On the left, soundstage 25. That's where the TV show Lopez versus Lopez films their show. And soundstage 26, which we're about to pass, that's where the brand new TV show St. Dennis Medical is currently working on season 1. St. Dennis Medical, you might not have heard of that show yet because it hasn't come out yet. It's going to be coming out later on this fall on NBC. It's going to be starring David Allen Greer from The Living Color, Wendy McClendon-Covey from Bridesmaids, Allison Tolman from Good Girls, and Kalika Kawaii from Superstore. And the creator of Superstore, Justin Spitzer, the same guy who created the TV show St. Dennis Medical, so I'm super looking forward to that show. And in fact, you're about to see one of their new exterior sets in our backlot area of the tour. It's be coming up on the right-hand side of the tram. This is one of the newest sets that have been built back here. You're going to see a medical entrance for St. Dennis Medical. So take a picture of the set here on the right-hand side. That way, once it airs, you can show all your friends, I was there before that TV show even came out. Okay, folks, now this is pretty cool. Mike is going to get access to one of the most iconic sets here at the Universal Studios backlot. Let's get the writer of Back to the Future, Bob Gale, and one of the stars in that movie, Leah Thompson, up here to tell us what we're about to go see.
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley in the Back to the Future films.
And they represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, and the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. If only we had a time machine.
Hey everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour?
Well, folks, Mike's gonna try. Everybody get your cameras out.
See you in the future.
We're entering into what we call Courthouse Square, but Back to the Future fans, you'll recognize this town of Hill Valley, and we've got a time machine and Dr. Emmett Brown right here.
Arriving here at Hill Valley, California, Courthouse Square. We're right over here on this very street. Back in 1955 is where I sent Marty McFly back to the future. That's what we're going to do with you right now. What do you say, my friends? Are you ready for a time-traveling experiment?
Yeah!
All right, all we got to do is get this baby up to 88. I mean, 80 miles an hour. And we'll see if
Alrighty, Doc, we don't want to disrupt the space-time continuum for too much longer. We're going to make it like a tree and get out of here. We're going to leave the quaint little town of Hill Valley behind, and now we're going to head to the big city. We're heading to an area that we call New York Street. Now, up until 2008, there used to be a beloved attraction here in the studio tour. Let's get the star of Kung Fu Panda 4, Mr. Jack Black, up here to tell us who used to roam these city streets.
And some action. Did you know the Metro sets were once the home to Hollywood's biggest star? Right here is where the original studio tour King Kong attraction resided from 1986 until 2008. He stood 30 feet tall and weighed in at 13,000 pounds. Over the years, millions of guests got to meet King Kong face to face as he shook the tram. So close you could feel his hot banana breath. Is that it? I can't believe that's my last line, and then the tram moves on to the next thing.
It does, Jack. Alrighty, folks, so this is called New York Street, but it doesn't just have to play New York on screen. Depending on how the set creators and the art department decorate the windows of the stores, the cars on the street with the license plates, the way actors are costumed, we can make this area look like any city around the globe. It's played Chicago in the movie The Blues Brothers, and it's even played London in Fast and Furious with its Hobbs and Shaw. I'll talk a little bit more about those buildings, but I've got some more studio tour history to give you. Coming up at the top of the hill, we've got two attractions that were built for the studio tour 50 years ago. One of them is called the Collapsing Bridge. And the Collapsing Bridge was this fun mechanical effect that the trams used to cross. It was this old rickety bridge, and then due to the weight of the tram, it wanted it to collapse underneath it. The runaway train, which is on top of the bridge, used to be located at our western sets. The trams would drive over a set of train tracks, and then suddenly this giant locomotive would come hurtling towards the tram, but always come to a screeching halt. They're retired today, but looks like the runaway train still got a little bit of life left in her. Alrighty, folks, we're going to be heading into an attraction that was built for the studio tour back in the year 2010. Before I tell you what it is, a quick reminder again to please remain seated and hold on tight to your valuables, alright? Now that we're entering this building, I am not allowed to exit the vehicle to retrieve anything. So if you drop it in here, it's probably staying in here. So hold on tight to your stuff. Alrighty, folks, let's get the director of King Kong up here to tell us what we're about to see, Mr. Peter Jackson.
The Universal Tram is winding its way through a very rough, narrow trail in Skyline and allowing.
That experience is incredible. Oh, you know what? You know what? One can even say that King Kong 363D was bananas. Ah, come on. I can tell these a couple of you that the banana pun was appealing. Oh, that was not a banana layered. All right, I'll stop. No more banana puns. If I do any more, y'all might split. Alright folks, hold on to your 3D glasses, alright? Because we might be using those later on in the tour. Now, King Kong 360 3D was brought to us by the same team of folks who brought us the movie King Kong. That's director Peter Jackson and the team at Weta Effects. Weta Effects, they're a special visual effects company based in New Zealand and use some of the most advanced technology in filming today to create some amazing visual effects for movies and TV shows. You've seen their work in movies like King Kong, Godzilla vs. Kong, and TV shows like Game of Thrones. Alrighty friends, we're driving back through our metropolitan sets, right? And I told you I'd tell you a little bit more facts about this area. So if you're a big fan of the TV show American Ninja Warrior, you should recognize this whole area because this is where they built that entire obstacle course with the filming episodes back here. On the left, you're probably noticing this whole bank of trailers. That's called base camp for the TV show St. Dennis Medical. Base camp is the name of the holding area or the meeting area for production that's filming for that day. And those trailers are going to be used as makeup trailers, wardrobe trailers, and even dress rooms for the stars of the show. Now, these buildings look real, right? They look like they're made out of brick and concrete. They're not. There's not a single brick in this area. What looks like brick are actually giant sheets of plastic that have been heated, formed into brick shapes, painted, and then glued on top of these plywood structures. We use materials like that way it's easier for us to be able to rebuild or remodel these sets for different movies and TV shows. Actually, a great example is that set from St. Dennis Medical that we passed by earlier. Literally 2 months ago, that whole building was covered in glass, but in order to make it look like a brick building, they got these giant plastic brick shapes and put them on the outside of that building to kind of change the look up of it. Alrighty folks, well, as we come around this area, get your cameras and point them to the right-hand side of the tram, because we're passing by an incredible work of art painted by Tristanita. Tristanita was born here in Hollywood, California. He got started in art at a pretty young age. He used to ride around Hollywood on a skateboard with a can of spray paint, tagging dumpsters and billboards. At the age of 18, Fisher-Price hired him to design some toys, and today he gets commissioned all over the world to paint these amazing works of art. On your right, that is a shout out to our classic Universal Monsters. If you are a fan of scary movies or monster movies, you can thank Universal Studios for creating that genre of film. Between the 1920s to the 1950s, we made movies based off of classic monsters like Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi, Frankenstein, starring Boris Karloff, and it culminates all the way to the upcoming Dark Universe and Universal Epic Universe opening next year in Orlando, and we're very excited about that theme park. And in fact, coming up on the left-hand side of the tram, we're passing by another area where one of our classic Universal monsters used to call home. Yeah, the creature from the Black Lagoon, also known as the Gill Man. So on the left, that body of water there that we call the Hollywood Ocean was used as the Black Lagoon. Now back in 1973, there was a classic attraction that was built there that we called the Parting of the Waters. Yeah, it was based off of the classic Paramount picture, The Ten Commandments. The star of that movie, Charlton Heston, even came here to part the waters for our guests one day. Waters would part, and the Glamour Trans would drive right through the lake, giving everyone on board what looked like a sea level view.
This tram is overloaded. Tell them they can walk on water. It's part of the tour.
If you took this tour from like the 60s to the 80s, you might remember there used to be a giant submarine that will launch a torpedo at the trams, and there even used to be exploding water mines as part of the action in the lake. Ooh. Alrighty folks, this is super exciting. Remember when I told you for Lauder and for Mike who's going to get us some extra special behind the scenes access? Well, it's about to happen. Alright folks, get your cameras out. I hope you brought your passports. Because heading into an area that we call Little Europe. We call this area Little Europe due to the architecture of the buildings here. Simply by changing the languages of the signs of the windows, the props that actors are holding, the costumes you're wearing, or even the cars that are parked in the streets, we can make this look like any location around the globe. But I'm going to guess a lot of you might recognize this area as the afterlife, more specifically, the good place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, I have never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here.
That's right, folks. You're in the actual good place. See that yoga shop on your screens? Well, stop looking at it on your screens. It's going to be here in real life. It's pretty much right behind my head. But as the tram turns a corner, it'll be on the left-hand side. Now, all 4 seasons of The Good Place filmed a lot of their serious scenes right here in Little Europe.
I can't
can't risk going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
Now, folks, as much as I love to refer to this area as the good place, it is officially known as Little Europe. And Little Europe was where a lot of our monster movies were made. Yeah, we turned this area to look like Transylvania for Dracula, Germany for Frankenstein, Wales for the Wolfman, and even Cairo, Egypt for the Mummy. We love our monsters here at Universal Studios so much, and let's get some filmmakers up here to tell us a little bit more about why they love our classic Universal monsters.
When we think of Universal, we think of monsters.
Dracula, Frankenstein,
Wolfman, Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy,
The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera.
classic. They're just brilliantly made.
That Frankenstein image, flathead, it's one of the great icons of the world. That to me was like the essence of the Universal horror film.
I was just mesmerized by
Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney.
I remember the original Universal Studios Mummy movie was scaring me.
They still reign in our memories now. We love them.
Alrighty, so I want to let you all know around maybe halfway through the tour. So a reminder that the studio is private property. So if you drop your phones, you just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the cord, remain seated, then I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. You definitely want to remain seated for this area, folks. Okay, again, we were loud enough for Mike, so he is getting his extra special access into Sound Stage 50. There has been a big Hollywood production filming in here for the past 6 months, but because Mike knows one of the directors on this film, we get to drive through the soundstage and take a look-see at their set. So look inside here. Whoa! All right, this is incredible. So they've built an entire subway station inside of the soundstage. And again, look at this. Look at the posters on the left, some of the maps on the right, and even some of the artwork. Just by using some of your visual cues, folks, what movie or what city is this movie going to be taking place in? Yeah, San Francisco, good work. It's a great example of how art departments and set decorators are going to help you, the audience, get a little bit of context about a scene without having to use any dialogue to do that. Now, on the left up here near the front, you can see some of the makeup stations for some of the different... Okay, everybody, well, looks like you got to experience a little earthquake here in LA. Opened up 35 years ago in the year 1989, and we just reopened it this spring to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the studio tour. We had closed it down for a little bit to update all of the props and the movie-making equipment on the inside to bring it to the 21st century. All right, folks, now hopefully that earthquake sequence didn't let you feel a little too shaken up. If it did, don't get mad at me, it's not my fault. What we're doing now is taking a nice little relaxing beach vacation to an area that we call Amity Island. That's right, folks, we're headed to the home of Jaws, but Mayor Vaughn wants you to know that the beaches are perfectly safe because we've caught that killer shark. You can see him on the right-hand side of the tram just hanging out. In fact, we've sent police driver George into the water to make sure it's safe for us to be nearby. Let's go see how George is doing. All right. Hey, Joe, whoa. Buddy, that's a shark. And George is in the water, friends. This is not good. I need your help. On the count of three, everybody shout George. 1, 2, 3. George! George, buddy, there's a shark coming towards you. You probably want to get in your boat. George? George, you okay? Are you fighting the shark? All right, man, you can do it. George, show us what you're made of. Oh, George, I meant that figuratively. Yikes. Okay, everybody, I'm sure George is fine. We're going to pull forward and we're going to hide behind these super safe barrels of gasoline.
No, super safe.
Congrats, everybody. You just survived a shark attack from Jaws. Now, the Jaws attraction opened up for the studio tour back in the year 1976, about a year after the movie Jaws came out in theaters. And we've had a bunch of different versions of the shark in that water there, but the very first shark we ever had these hilariously oversized teeth, so we gave it the nickname Carrot Tooth. I'll show you a picture of Carrot Tooth in a little bit, but Mike is about to get us into the oldest attraction here at the Universal Studios tour. Let's get today's show co-host and weather anchor, Mr. Al Roker, up here to tell us what we're about to go see.
Time for my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction, only part of the backdrop with a 100% chance of rain. The flash flood.
That's right, folks. We're here in the background that we call Old Mexico. Again, we call this area Old Mexico because of the architecture, and if you look and see some Spanish words on our buildings. And this is where we've been giving guests over the past 6 years a nice little weather demonstration. So if you look to your left, you see some rain, right? The rain is just falling from sprinklers, as we call them rain rings, rain bars, or sometimes rain wands. The rain is actually very difficult to capture on camera. It's kind of like when you're watching a football game at home on your television, and the announcers say it's raining, but you never see those raindrops in your television set, right? That's because that rain is not correctly lit. In order to make raindrops appear on camera, you've got to put a light source from behind the raindrops to make them shimmer and shine, kind of like how the sunlight is doing right now, and that way the camera can see them. The lightning just coming from strobe lights, and the thunder being played from speakers hitting throughout the area. And folks, here's the main attraction. It's a flash flood. Let this play out and let you know that we're about to be entering into the area that we're traveling really close to where a couple of commercials are currently being filmed. So I'm going to hop off the microphone. I'm going to play some videos, but there will not be any audio whatsoever. All right. So I'm going to put this up on our screens just to remind me and y'all. That's not the video I want. There we go. All right. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye. Alrighty, folks, I'm on to talk again for just a little bit. So we're going to be heading to our next destination where there's another quiet zone coming up. But I have time right now to play a little video about somebody with a long-standing relationship here at Universal Studios. That's Mr. Steven Spielberg. Mr. Spielberg's history with us here at Universal goes all the way back to when he was just a teenager in high school visiting Universal. Here, take a look at this.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Grey Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. It was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
Alrighty, folks, we'll be heading into a set that was built for a movie that Steven Spielberg directed. It's a set for War of the Worlds, but I'm not going to be allowed to talk through it because we're passing too close to some production. I'll be back in just a little bit. Alrighty, folks, I'm allowed to talk here just in time to point out the Psycho House here on the right-hand side of the tram. That is the original Psycho House from the movie Psycho, as well as our very own official scale replica of the Hollywood sign coming up on the right as well. Now, folks, you're going to get your opportunity to take some amazing photos of both the Psycho House and the Hollywood sign, because for a limited time only, we brought back the opportunity for guests to step off of the tram and onto the world famous studio lot to take pictures with cars, props, and some of your favorite characters from movies and TV from movies. Oh, also, we've got some QR codes down here that you can scan that'll get you access to some really fun AR photos as well. You can take some fun photos with Jaws and King Kong. Now, this is for a limited time only. This is not something we normally allow people to do, so take advantage of this opportunity. If you do step off the tram, you're going to want to bring all of your belongings with you, including your 3D glasses, because once you're done taking your pictures, you'll most likely be boarding a different tram with a different studio tour guide, all right? Well, folks, thanks for joining us. My name's Emir. I was your guide for the first portion of the studio tour. Have some fun out there.
area where you can have a technical ice tunnel, very popular. And now we'll cover super trucks finale for you. I want to remind everyone to please get seated at all times for our like about the vehicle. And it's back to the theme park now, rolling out the final words from our master of ceremony.
Over the past 6 decades, the studio tour has taken guests on an amazing behind-the-scenes look at a movie studio in a way that only Universal can. I hope that you had a great time today, and on behalf of everyone at NBC Universal, thank you for joining us to celebrate our diamond anniversary. Here's to another 60 years.
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you all of you for celebrating 60 years of the studio tour with us. Our 60th anniversary, oh, thank you for cheering, yay! This anniversary is very special to us because the studio tour, that's where it all began for Universal Destinations Experiences. From 2 glamour trams, traveling around the studio lot in the summer of 1964. We have developed into so much more, including 7 theme parks, entertaining millions of guests every single year, including our upcoming Universal Epic Universe opening 2025 at Universal Studios Orlando. Before we get back to the theme park, I want to acknowledge all the studio tour ambassadors, guides, and drivers throughout history who have helped make this tour world famous, including our driver today. Everyone give a big round of applause for Victor! Victor not only drove everyone throughout the lot, but also is responsible for triggering all of the special effects we see on the tour, as are all of our drivers. So big round of applause for him. As we head back to the park, make sure you download the new Universal Studios Hollywood app. If you'd like to upgrade your ticket to become a Universal Pass member, you can do that at the box office next to our 60th celebration in the plaza. And you can download any of the productions you saw featured on the tour at uphe.com, or see if you can get a DVD at one of our retailers. Once again, folks, my name is Jessica, and I hope you have a wonderful day here at Universal Studios Hollywood. If you have any questions, need advice, a high five, I'll be by the studio directory. Other than that, that's a wrap. Have a good day.